Portal's Numerology course, Module 2D, Yearly Interpretations, Personal Years and Essences. This module explains how to create and interpret a yearly interpretation chart, including personal years and essences. Personal years. The personal year is the number attributed to the calendar year according to your birth date. Some say that you can feel the energies of the personal year coming before the previous year ends, and others believe that the personal year starts on your birth date. However, that means that you'd have to use two calculations for part of the current year and part of the next year. I was taught that the personal year starts on the first day of the new year, affected by the vibrations of that year combined with your own numbers. Then you calculate your personal months and days, which will be covered towards the end of this module. To calculate your personal year, reduce the year in question to a single digit, then add your month and day of birth together and combine the numbers before reducing once more. For example, using my birth date, calendar year 2022, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. My birth month and day, 9 plus 5 equals 14, then 1 plus 4 equals 5. Adding the calendar year to my number makes it 6 plus 5 equals 11, then 1 plus 1 equals 2. So my personal year for 2022 is 2. It's interesting to note the calendar year's vibration to see if what goes on in the world is reflected by the associated number. Of course, there are many different people in the world who are affected differently by their own numerology and what's going on with others and the world. Completing the yearly interpretation chart will make it easier to reference what personal year you might be having, or had, or will have, even though the calculation is easy enough to do in your head. After the personal year descriptions, we will dig deep into the creation of your yearly interpretation chart and explore the essence numbers. So, as you can see in this chart, I'm not only explaining the meaning of each personal year, but also the energy. And we're using, like the tide is in if it's full energy, and the tide is out if it's not as full of energy or waning. And you'll notice with the number 3, the tide is in and out. So that's typical for a 3, always oscillating back and forth. So starting with the number 1, of course, the tide is in, and it means full of energy, new endeavours, independence and loneliness. With number 2, the tide is out, working out emotions, partnerships, cooperation, intuition. For number 3, as I said before, the tide is in and out, social events, creativity, self-expression and scattered energies. For the number 4, the tide is in, focus on work and security, restrictions and health issues. For number 5, the tide is in, and it means freedom, travel, variety, changes, intellectual pursuits. For the number 6, the tide is also in, and it covers family and home responsibilities, music, or the arts and harmony. For the number 7, the tide is out, loss of energy, subconscious fears, analysing, spirituality. For the number 8, the tide is in, karmic relationships, financial matters, power, authority. And for the number 9, the tide is out, endings, losses, foreign things or people, and humanitarianism. Task number 20. Calculate your personal year for the current calendar year and record it in your workbook. Jot down any reflections or notes about what you expect or are experiencing. Calculating the yearly interpretations. Please don't panic. I've shared this yearly interpretation chart to show you what it looks like once completed. This one was done for Marilyn Monroe using her full name at birth and date of birth. You can see that I've highlighted the year that she died, showing her age, the essence, and personal year, along with the name calculations and the calendar year. Breaking down the yearly interpretation chart. In your workbook, I've included a blank chart for you to work on, and I suggest you watch the video for this module so that you can see me fill it in. Once you get the hang of it, you'll wonder why you balked when you first saw Marilyn's chart. I find an Excel spreadsheet easy to use when creating the yearly interpretations chart, or you can use Google Sheets or whatever you prefer. There are 7 rows in a group of 5, with cells for the age, the names, the essence, the personal year, and the calendar year. Let's start with the first line. The age row. This is where you input your ages. It's the first row in the chart. So from 0 until around 99 years of age on every 7th row. Refer to Marilyn's chart if you want to know, or you can watch the video at the end of this one to see me fill it in. You might live longer, and I hope you do, but this is a good stopping point. So as you can see, we're starting off the first one with 0, which was the year you were born, and then so on with your ages. The name rows, which are 3 rows, the first name is entered on the row marked name first in multiples according to its value from the alphabet grid as follows. As you can see, since N has the value of 5, it is recorded 5 times in the line. Then O is recorded 6 times, and so on. The first name continues to be repeated like this along the name first row until the end. When you get to the last letter in the name, you start all over and continue entering it this way. The rows called name second are for the middle name, repeated the same way as the name first rows. If there are 2 middle names, you just need to use them as though they were one middle name joined together, continuing until the end. The rows called name third are for the surname, repeated as above until the end. If the person you are doing the chart for does not have a middle name, then leave it out. Calculating the essence. The essence row. This is to be calculated after all the names are entered in all the name rows. You need to add up the letters in each column and reduce them to a single digit. For example, you can see here for the rows name first, name second, and name third, we've put in all the letters according to their numerological values. So there's again 5 N's because that's a 5, and then we go on with the O's, which are 6, and so on. So just to show you, in this first section, we're adding N, which is 5, J, which is 1, and M, which is 4, which equals 10, and then reduced to a single digit is 1. We write the number 1 in that essence cell there, which tells us that that's the essence for that year. We continue to go on to do the same for the rest. And you might find, for example, here where you've got the same letters, which means the same values. So 5 and 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14, 1 and 4 is 5. So when you're doing this and you see these repeated patterns, you don't have to keep calculating. You know it's always going to be the same. So you would put 5 in again and again until you get to the next one. So trust me, it's worth it to get a deeper view into the yearly interpretations. And as I'm always wondering, one day I do hope to be able to pay someone to come up with a program to alleviate this task. I will say, though, that once you start doing it, it's actually fun, or I think it is anyway. Maybe if you're a 4 personality, you might really enjoy it, but the reward is understanding what's going on in the background and the foreground of your life. Calculating the personal year for the yearly interpretation chart. The personal year row is where you start recording the personal years for each age directly under the essence row. Of course, the first entry will be their destiny, since the first year includes adding up the birth date and reducing it to a single digit. For example, here for this chart, we've started with the number 7, which is the destiny, and that's always starting off the personal year row. And what we're doing, starting from the beginning, we need to record the personal year along the rows, and then starting again once we get to 9. So from number 1 right up to 9, and then we start again number 1. These entries are easier since you're merely counting 9-year cycles for the personal years. The calendar year row, starting with the year the person was born, begin recording the dates in this format: 26 for 1926 or 22 for 2022, etc. So we start off the birth year in the first section with 26 instead of 1926, and then we're just counting the years up, 27, 28, and so on. We just keep following on the calendar year line or row to make sure that the years are all correct. Interpreting the essence. As stated previously, the essence tells us what's going on in the background of our lives. This includes energies and unseen influences that are hard to explain. Some might call it a blueprint that's been programmed by our experiences, thoughts, emotions and memories, like a karmic veil or our subconscious externalized. The essence colours or imbues our personal years, the foreground, with impressions, hunches and sensory input that, with hindsight, we can see or remember as an aura or the feel of a period in our lives. The essence can lift a personal year up, double down on the good, the bad or the ugly, as well as solidify the energies of the other number. When doubled, for example a personal year 5 and an essence 5, you can have a double whammy of the energies. However, there are certain combinations to watch out for. It doesn't matter if it's a personal year or essence, such as 7 and 4. It can mean regular visits to the hospital and health issues. 9 and 6 denotes losses and possibly deaths, especially in the family. 1 and 2, increased loneliness and depression. 8 and 8, powerful karmic forces at play. Of course, it all depends on the individual and whether or not they've dealt with the associated issues. Some might have surmounted negative traits, been frugal with money or watched their health, so the energies could have little effect or even have positive outcomes. The great thing about creating your own yearly interpretation chart is that you'll be able to prepare for certain periods you might be concerned about. If you know that you're coming up to a string of years with numbers that indicate stress or health issues, you can plan accordingly so you're not caught off guard. So here I'm going to illustrate how to fill in the yearly interpretation chart so it doesn't seem so daunting. We're going to be using Marilyn Monroe's full name at birth and her birth date. So her full name at birth was Norma Jean Mortensen, and her birth date was the 1st of June 1926. We will start with the name first by starting at 0, which was the year she was actually born. If we put in the calendar year, as explained before, it's 26, and oops, there we go, so 26 and so on. But what we're going to do before I go back and fix that, my computer's a bit slow at the moment, so we're going to start here with her name. So we're using the full name at birth, so it's Norma Jean Mortensen. The N, if you remember the alphabet grid, is a 5, so we're going to put that in 5 times. So that's N, 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 N. And then of course it's Norma, so that's 6 for O, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we have the R, which is related to the number 9, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we'll do the second the second row is the name second row, so we will start with Jean. So that is J, and J is the value of 1, so we just have to put 1 J in there. E is to the value of 5, so we're putting that in 5 times. A is 1, so we just put it in once. N is 5. So there's the 5 N's, and then E is 5 as well, so we put that in 5 times. And so that's the end of Jean, but because we're going to start again, it's right at the beginning. J is 1, E is 5, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A is only 1. N is 5, and then E, and so on. We just keep going. Start again with the J, and so we're going to do that for each row that's called name first, and then name second, and of course the third, which is her surname, Mortensen. M is the value is 4, so we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. Mortensen is 6. The 0, sorry, is 6, so that's not 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The R is 9, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the T is 2. And of course we start again down here. I'm just going to correct myself there, I'm sorry. I put it in the wrong row. So I'm just going to fix that for a second, I'm sorry. And that'll do for now. And of course the third name, the surname, the T is to the value of 2, so we're putting that in again to make it 2 T's. And then the E is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the N, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the S, which is 1, and then the O is 6, and then we have the N again, and we would continue that for each name, the first, the second, and third, for the rest of the chart. So we're going to keep going on, flowing on, like that. So to illustrate the calculation of the essence, we've already talked about that, but I'll just show you here. The M is 4, the J is 1, the N is 5. Now, for me, this is the way I do it. I look at it and go, okay, 5 and 4 is 9. I can ignore that because when you take the 9 out, whatever's left will be the proper number. So adding it together just to show, N is 5, plus 1 is 6, 6 plus 4 is 14, sorry, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is a 1 when reduced to a single digit. And then so on here, of course, 5, 10, 14, 1 and 4 is 5. And as I said before, if you can see that it's the same, you know that essence is going to be the same, so you would just do that. And then we're going to add together the N, which is 5, the E, which is 5, and the O, which is 6. So that's 10, 6, 16, 1 and 6 is 7. So we have to go through and keep doing that for each one. 6 and 6 is 12, plus 5 is 17, 1 and 7 is 8, 6, 7, plus 6 is 13, 1 and 3 is 4, and we just keep going along calculating according to the numerological vibrations of each letter. And it would help if I had the alphabet grid here, but you have that in your course book, so you'll be able to refer back to that. I'm just showing here how to fill in the yearly interpretation chart. So as we go along, we just keep adding 6, 6 and 5 is 17. I think 6, 12 plus 5 is 17. So that's 8. And then here's some more multiples. We know it's going to be 8, so it's 8 plus 8, blah, blah, blah. Just to show you, that's how we get the essences. Now for the personal years, as I said originally, it's going to be the destiny because that's the year you were born. So we're starting with the 7 for the personal year. And then what we're doing is we're just going up through the cycles. So once we've put in the calendar years, I won't bother doing that here now, but of course she was born in 1926, so then we go 27, 28 and so on. And that's how we fill in the chart, by putting in the first name, and I always just put the names in first, starting with the first, going on. So that's Norma. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the very next letter in the Norma is M. So it would come down here. We would go, M is the value of 4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then A is 1, and then we start again at the beginning of that name, of the first name. So that's N, so that's 5, and then O is 6, and then R is 9, and then so on down to the next line. Of course we would continue. So that's how you fill in the chart, and you're going to be daunted at first when you first do it. I know I was when I first started doing it, but after doing it for so long, it really doesn't take much to fill in. And like I said, it's worth it because let's look at the combinations of the essences and the personal years here. If you put them together, you can see she had a string of some good times really early on, but things started getting a bit worse later on. You've got a combination there of 7 and 2. That's a little bit of depression. It was a very hard year for her when she was 6. And then a lot of karmic things started happening if you look at the essence. And we will look at that in depth towards the end. There is a module, I think it's 3B, where we actually go deep into Marilyn's chart. So I'm going to go over this when we get there. So I hope that explains a little bit of how you do the yearly interpretation chart. And if you do have any questions, please reach out to me. I've got my email address in your task I'm going to show you in a second. Essence descriptions. Number 1, feelings of isolation, independence, ambition, and new beginnings. Number 2, heightened sensitivities and intuition, communing with others. Number 3, creativity, imagination, positivity, exciting opportunities, luck. Number 4, feeling restricted, focus, health problems, structure, stability. Number 5, mental activity, sensuality, changes, variety, freedom. Number 6, harmony, striving for peace, family responsibilities, musical ability. Number 7, spirituality, mystical interests, analysis, going deep within, delays. Number 8, power, karmic influences, financial and material concerns, egotism. Number 9, loss, endings, compassion, judgment, sudden or unexpected events. Task 21. This is the big one. Having learned how to calculate and create your yearly interpretation chart, fill in the blank chart in your workbook and double check your calculations. Write a page or two about any impressions, periods that interest you, and any clashes or harmonious combinations between your personal years and essences. What is your personal year for the current calendar year and the essence? Note anything about the current year and how you feel these energies coming into play. Remember, you can re-watch this video to check your knowledge and refer to the course book. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions at kellyproudfoot@gmail.com.